Hello and welcome to the Absolute Game of Nerds with your non-geek, non-nerd hosts JP and Rohan. And we have a guest with us today, Alonso, who I've seen with one of the craziest unpacking of cards I've ever seen in my life. Awesome, awesome video. Rohan, give him a better introduction than that, but let's welcome Alonso here and Rohan, give me an introduction.
Yeah. No, we got another fun guest for us today. Yeah, the video JP is talking about. So if you remember when we interviewed Dave from West Coast Avengers, I said two of my favorite videos on YouTube are one him uncovering his GSX-1 from a collection he bought, and two was Alonso uh, pulling a AF-15 comic cut card. So for those that don't know, it's a card that they cut out a panel from an actual AF-15 and kind of sandwiched it on a card between some cardboard. It's beautiful. But anyways, there's only 15 of them out there. And Alonso is one of the lucky few to pull one actually out of a pack. And so it's just his reaction. And then he's on video with, so we know I've seen Alonso through Justin, Manu, those guys' connection to their show. So it was on Justin's show that he pulled it. And then I've seen him since with shows with Fausto, and he's kind of all over the Marvel card scene. So I'm sure many of you have seen him before, but everyone say hello to Alonso. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. I appreciate the opportunity to come hang with you guys, man.
Yeah, for sure. And for those, I'll tell you, when I put the description on when we upload this episode, I'm going to put the link of that break video of Alonso's in it. So check it out if you haven't seen it. It's truly like one of the joys of being in this hobby is watching the joy of other people find their grails, and Alonso hitting it is quite awesome.
Well,
Yeah, man.
I'd have to say, watching the video, your hands don't shake as you're holding that card and showing it up to the screen. I thought my hands would have been shaking. Like I wouldn't have been able to put that card in that protective case and close it up and all that. So I give you credit for that. I'd have been shaking. I'm sure you were, but you didn't show it. So that's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. The thing is, man, I've been in the card game for a very long time, and I've ripped tons of product, and I've pulled tremendous like monster cards. Like when it comes to Pokemon, like I pulled some of the biggest cards in Pokemon, like just ripping packs for myself or doing breaks, before breaks got popular, everywhere now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it caught me off guard. It really did, because I had heard of the AF-15 cut, but I had never seen it. Like I hadn't seen the design of it, so I wasn't sure. And when I pulled it, I had opened quite a few boxes. I opened probably, I don't know, 30-something, 40-something boxes before I pulled it.
I think on the video you say 55 boxes.
Okay, yeah, whatever number I said on the video, that's what it was. I went crazy on Spider-Man. I love that set. It's just one of those sets that really called to me. The artwork, the first appearances, does it have its flaws? Sure, every set has its flaws. But I just felt like the set was just too badass to not go hard on. You know what I mean? So when I pulled it, I just wasn't expecting that, dude. Like, it was like literally the last box I had to open that night. It was the last pack. I think it was on the bottom right side of the box. I believe that's what it was. And I was the last pack, and it was, late night, the show's close to ending. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Spidey Hits, my brother right there. I love that guy. That guy's been super G and genuine with me since the beginning. And it was just a crazy experience, dude, not knowing, what it was. I was like, okay, it is a comic cut because of the thickness of the card when I looked at it sideways. But then, I took a little peek just to see the border, and the border was totally red, like the comic cuts have like the cool different comic book art, with the white background.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw the red, a couple of the dudes just geeked out. They kind of knew what it was. And, I'm just going through. And then when I pull it and I see that full body Spider-Man on the cutout, it was insane, bro. It was mind blowing, because I remember, man, me and Justin and a couple of the other homies before Spider-Man Metal was released, we would talk about it. We'd be like, yo, bro, could you imagine being lucky and pulling an AF-15 cut or a green PMG Spider-Man? Because those are like the biggest cards in the set, And I was like, bro, like that would be would be monumental. That would be a tremendous blessing if that happened. And bro, it happened. And people ask me all the time, yo, did you sell it, this and that? And this is a piece that my kids are gonna sell, man. It's like I don't have the heart to get blessed by the universe with something this special. You know what I mean? And it was the first one ever pulled. Like, this was the first cut to be pulled. I think the second one was pulled like 2 days later. The guy instantly reached out to me. He's like, yo, I pulled one. So that's my baby right there, man. Like,
yeah. So I only know 3 people that have one. There's you, there's Justin, and there's VP Trading Cards if you follow him on IG.
Yeah.
Yours,
awesome dude, awesome page, bro. The way he does
his design,
his layouts are masterful, dude.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, it's if you're a card guy, you definitely should be following him. His stuff is awesome. But I was gonna say yours is the only one I've only seen those 3. I've not seen any other ones. But yours is the only one I've seen with the full body, full suit Spider-Man.
It's the only one right now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I believe the majority have been pulled already. I want to say 12 to 13, to my knowledge, have been pulled. And so far, there's only been 3 of them with Spider-Man, with Peter Parker in his full costume. All the other ones are, I think one of them I remember was the spider where it bites him on his hand. So it's like a close-up of the spider, which that's very, very nice. I know there's one where he's sitting in his room where he's looking at his costume, about to put it on.
Yeah, I think that's what VP has, right? His is without costume, and you can see the costume or something like that.
Dude, I don't remember, man. Yeah. There's just so many people with so much cool stuff out there. It's just hard to figure out. But the other 2 costume Spider-Mans, I know who has those. Obviously, Justin has one, and another homie on Instagram has a real cool dude. He's a sports card guy, and I believe he still has his. He's keeping his for the future.
But you pulled yours instead of the other guy. But Justin, did he buy his or did he pull it?
He bought or traded for his. I don't know.
I believe I would let him say it, but I believe he bought it / traded for it.
Yeah, Justin's got a video of him getting it, like coming home and unpacking it.
Yeah, for sure. So, but as far as like the full body, I believe my cut is the only one of the 15.
Yeah, that's awesome. So anyways, let's actually rewind it back a bit, Alonso. So we always kind of usually start with an origin story in terms of comics or Marvel or comic characters, cards, whatever you call it. That could be you as a child. Maybe you got into it as an adult, but take us to the beginning of when the love first started.
Well, as a kid, I watched the animated series Spider-Man, the X-Men series. That was all over the place. That was big in the 90s. The first interaction with Marvel cards from me. So my father, when I was a kid, my grandparents, his parents, had a couple big shoe store businesses in Honduras in Central America. So when I was a kid, my father moved to Honduras for a few years. They got divorced from my mother and everything, so he wanted to do his own thing. My mom stayed in Florida. And I was a badass kid growing up, little kid, you know what I mean? So my mother shipped me to Honduras to live with my father. And I was 9 when I got sent over there. So it was a bit of a culture shock, real different, going to, an all lang, even though I could speak fluently Spanish and no problem. There was no barrier with language or anything, but just like, it was different. It was a different world.
Yeah.
And the first experience that I ever got with Marvel cards, it was that first year. And I started going to the school there, the school over there. And we lived in San Pedro Sula. It was a big city in Honduras, a little bit more modernized than a lot of the different parts of the country. And I used to see kids with Marvel cards, like collecting them and showing them off in the classroom, but they were the Marvel Pepsi cards. Okay. So I don't know if you guys can go back and people, I've seen people have them. They're the 94 Flair. That's why I have a big attraction to 94 Flair.
Love 94 Flair.
Okay, so 94 Flair had a Latin version, You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it was distributed by Pepsi.
Oh yeah, those
So,
Pepsi cards are sweet.
yes, yeah. So it's pretty much just, no foils. There was no foils they would give out. It was just the 94 Flair card. So, and it would be in Spanish. It would be awesome, awesome. So what you had to do is, over there in those days, there wasn't 2 liters, like 2-liter bottles. The 2 liters were in a big glass bottle, and it had the bottle caps. So you would collect, I forgot how many caps you would need to collect. You would stack up, Pepsi product bottle caps, and you take them to the Pepsi factory in the city, and you trade them in, and they would give you Marvel Pepsi cards for them.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, bro, I started hitting up the whole neighborhood up and down the block with a little garbage bag because, in that culture, Pepsi, Coke, like everybody, there's a bottle of it in every home. That's just the way it is, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would go up and down collecting bottle caps. You know what I'm saying? And I'd stack up a big bag of bottle caps, and then we'd go, I'd have my old man take me over to the Pepsi factory, and I'd redeem them all for Marvel cards. So that's my first ever interaction with Marvel cards. Like,
Well,
I had comic books here and there when I was a little bit younger that I would get here and there, but it was never. But my first interaction with the Marvel cards was there.
I said, bro, do you still have those cards?
Brother, unfortunately, I don't, man. When I moved back to the United States from over there, bro, like, I don't know what happened to them. Life changes, bro. Just, I'm a kid, I'm 9, 10 years old, bro. Like, there's and my dad didn't know crap about Marvel cards or anything. He just knew that I would, go up and down the block collecting bottle caps. And he, to reward me, he'd take me and we'd go redeem them, and I'd go get my cards, and I'd take them to school and we'd trade, and.
As a quick aside, it's funny. Do you guys remember? So in the 90s, when Pepsi, just similar to that, they had those Pepsi points here in the US, and they would have a commercial for all the cool prizes you could redeem with these Pepsi points. And at the end of the commercial, they showed a Harrier jet, and they would say 7 million Pepsi points to win a Harrier jet, which is like, an actual like warplane. And some like kid who was obviously very wealthy purchased all of the points to 7 million and, tried to get this Harrier jet, and Pepsi was like, that's not an actual thing. And there's actually even like a law that says like private citizens can't own Harrier jets. And it was like a whole lawsuit, I think, that eventually happened, but I just remember that. But anyways, I didn't realize that's how those I didn't realize that's how those Marvel cards were distributed. That's awesome.
Well, that maybe that was the only way they were distributed, like in Central and South America and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? The Latin countries, maybe that's how they did it. I don't remember. I would think in the United States, you were cracking packs and buying booster boxes. You know what I'm saying? So it was different collecting. So that's where I got my first taste of Marvel cards, and I loved it. And then, just growing up, Marvel was all over the place. Marvel, DC, Spider-Man, Batman. Growing up as a kid, those were my biggest favorite characters were Batman and Spider-Man. So that's where I first started with Marvel cards as a kid. About 8 or 9 years ago, I got into the card scene, and this was for Pokemon. So Pokemon everything was cheap, everything was quiet. It wasn't really cool to collect Pokemon, you know what I'm saying? So I got real hooked on it, and I started investing in it. Started buying a lot of product, just stacking and stockpiling it, buying product from Japan, flipping it, making my margins on it, keeping what I want for myself, selling enough to be able to continue to buy product.
What told you that Pokemon was something to get into? Like, what told you that to do that?
Brother, I had remembered Pokemon cards as a kid. I had a few. I didn't have many. What I did play a lot when I was a kid was the Game Boy game. You know what I'm saying? Like the blue, the red, the yellow. Yeah. I remember when yellow came out, it was a beast, but you had like Pikachu off rip. It was awesome. So I literally went into a CVS with my daughter. And we were just going up and down the toy aisle, and there were Pokemon packs. It was like early XY packs, like early XY. And they were just there in abundance, and they were like a couple bucks. And my daughter's like, "Oh, Dad, Pokemon, let's get some packs." So, we bought, I don't know, 5, 6 packs. We went in the car, we ripped them, pulled some crazy full arts. My daughter was geeking, I was geeking out. I remembered it. I got that. So I walked right out of the car, went right back inside, and I bought every pack on the shelf. I bought it all. We got home and we ripped them. I started learning about it, trying to see, as far as like investment wise, or is there opportunity? Is there a potential future with this? Because it was still popular, but it wasn't as crazy as it is now. And bro, I got hooked, man. The collector bug got hooked. We started collecting all the early XY sets, started picking up some black and white sets. And then I started learning about the vintage, started going back and realizing that vintage is the way to go. And then I just started buying, PSA 10s. I started learning the ways of grading, who were the dominant companies as far as grade. At the time, it was PSA and Beckett. SGC was good, but SGC was used a lot for like sports back then. And now, bro, I just started figuring it out, learning it, studying it. And I got real deep into the Japanese side of the Pokemon game, because no one was selling Japanese Pokemon pretty much anywhere. It was very scarce. You'd see a seller here or there on eBay, but no, like as far as on Facebook and on the social media platforms, nobody was touching Japanese. So I saw a big opportunity. So I took gambles. I just started buying tons of product, booster boxes, tons of, EX era, which is like the Gold Star era. Early, well, not WotC because it was made by Media Factory, the Japanese side, but what we know as the early Wizards of the Coast sets in Japanese. I was buying them by boxes, packs, Diamond and Pearl, Platinum, Hard Gold, so Silver, Black and White. I was buying just tons of boxes. They were cheap. And I started doing breaks, and I started selling product, and I started grading. And I did very good for myself with the Japanese product until I built up a lot of capital. I just started investing heavy, and it didn't turn back. And then when COVID hit, everything blew up, and things that I had picked up for let's say a vintage box. I was buying jungle boxes for like $400 or $500 a box, and then they jumped up to like a few grand, and I was like, whoa! And then the big boxes, I don't know how familiar you guys are with Pokemon, so I don't know if I'm going over your head. But some of the biggest sets in the game, I was buying them for nothing, and I was just stockpiling them because I'm like, bro, this is too cheap. This stuff has opportunity. I was looking to get to see some gains, 3 to 5 years down the road. And everything, like the last crop of vintage boxes that I bought, like literally 6, 7 months later went by and everything just exploded, went crazy. So assets that I had a real small, investment amount into it turned into, crazy numbers, like ridiculous, like life game changing numbers, A box that I paid at the time, like Dragon Frontiers, I paid like $3,000. And then at the height, they were doing like 30,000, 35. And I had three of them. That's just one set,
I literally know nothing about Pokemon cards. All I know, I've told this story before on the podcast. There's that NFL player, Blake Martinez, who retired and then got into Pokemon cards. And he's made like $5 million on Pokemon cards in the last like 3 years.
And he got in already when the hype was hyped,
Yeah.
To get into it early was key, man, because you'll never see those prices again, man.
Yeah. And then the other experience I have with Pokemon is there's an LCS I go to out here in the Seattle area. And one day I was hanging out there and this guy came in, collections come in the door. That's how they obviously get their product. And this guy came in with a short box of a run of Batman comics. And so, there was some really, great Batmans in there, like Batman 227 and, so on and so forth. And I think he valued the box, the owners, he assessed the value. It's like, okay, it's $2,000 or something like that. And the guy, he's like, okay, but I'm obviously not going to give you, as a comic book store, they don't give him full value. And so he started working a deal with him, and he's like, turned out the guy liked Pokemon cards, and he ended up trading the entire box for 2 Pokemon cards. And I was like, what the hell? And they were just raw cards. And then the owner was just like, yeah, and I got those Pokemon cards for like $10 or something like that. I was like, wow. I mean, I had no idea. So my question though is, when people grade Pokemon cards, are they still playing with them?
No.
Yeah, okay, that's what I figured.
If you're grading a card now, are people still playing the game? 100%.
Yeah.
Pokemon game is very popular, the TCG. But if you're grading cards, the thing about Pokemon is it's highly collectible, which that's obvious. But the artwork is amazing, and people love to collect the artwork and just look at the artwork. So, and it's crazy because a lot of the real playable cards are usually some of the more prettier, luxurious looking cards. Like, now we've got a big rise in the full art trainers, like the waifu female trainers and PSA 10s, from the modern sets are doing crazy, like astronomical numbers that I'm not used to seeing that. When I got into Pokemon until maybe I'd say Eevee Heroes. Do you guys recall hearing that set when it came out a few years back? But it was a big set in Japan, and I believe that set is what changed the tide for Japanese modern, because English modern was king forever. Like, you'd get a booster box in English in those days. A modern box was $70, $80, $90 for a good set on release. And a Japanese set, I was getting boxes $35, $40, out the door. No problem, as many as I wanted. And now the tides have changed. Now Japanese modern is like a big jump ahead as far as collectability, value, desirability. So modern Japanese Pokemon is king right now. You know what I mean? It's crazy to say it, but
that makes sense.
Obviously, English vintage is always going to be English vintage, but
you figured the Japanese version came out first, right?
Correct.
So that's more vintage than the English version, and any Japanese version at all would be hard to come by in the States. So that would make it rarer, which
Correct.
I guess would make sense for that the demand there, at least the value. But
yeah, Wizards of the Coast is what put the stamp on the value for English Pokemon. The efforts that Wizards of the Coast did with all the series of sets they released until Nintendo got the license. They put the flag on. They're like, yeah, well, English Pokemon is king. But now, like I said, the last 2-3 years, it's different, man. Like, English sets up, and again, the card quality is probably one of the biggest turnoffs when you compare modern English to Japanese modern. The Japanese cards are just made so much better. Like, they're perfect. They come out so clean. Every once in a while, you get a card that's a little off center. That's normal. But as far as like getting like crappy corners and edges, it's like rare, bro. You know what I mean?
So are you still heavily involved in Pokemon today?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Nice.
Pokemon and Marvel, and I still play around with sports. I made my sports investment years ago, and I just riding on that. But pretty much, Pokemon's my number one, and Marvel's my number two.
Nice. So then, how did you transition back into Marvel? I mean, obviously you loved them as a kid, but then obviously you came back into it. Tell us about that.
Okay, so I started grading Marvel cards, I want to say about 4.5 to 5 years ago. And this was crazy that we went to this local mall that we have up here, and they had just opened up this little game store. And I was like, yo, I had some cool stuff. So, I walk in, and I'm talking to the guy, real cool dude, young dude from South Florida. He moved up, and he wanted to open up a game store with trading cards and video games, vintage games. So he had this shelf in a corner, and it was just stacks and stacks of Marvel cards, some DC, old Spawn cards. And they were stacked up nice. They were just laid out there, you know what I mean? All mixed up, dude. And he was pretty much like giving away like 3 cents a card, 4 cents a card type deal. He just said, take them. I guess he got them in for free. I don't know how he got them, but I know he said he paid nothing for the lot. So he was just trying to make a little bit of money on them. So I just started going through and I started finding tons of 95 metal. And I had remembered the 95 metal cards when I was a kid because they were real popular, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I just started picking up. There was a ton of 95 metal, a ton of 94 masterpieces with all the holofoils, the silver holofoils. So there was a ton of that. And dude, I bought every foil card in that entire. I spent like an hour in that store just pulling out foils. And the guy's like, dude, you love foils, huh? I'm like, well, bro, if you're gonna sell foils for 3 to 4 cents a card, I'm gonna take every foil here. I'm gonna buy it all. The guy was happy, bro. He was happy he was gonna make a good sale. And it was hundreds of cards, like hundreds, probably close to 1,000 cards. I don't know how much he really didn't make much, but whatever the case is. So I got them for nothing. I think I paid, I want to say like 36 bucks. It wasn't even $40 for the entire stack, just a lot of cards. And they were all 95 metal, 94 masterpieces. What else was in there? There was some X-Men, some 94 X-Men. There was like a Magneto foil in there. But it was mainly 95 metal and 94 masterpieces. So I brought it all home. I started going through all the cards because at that time I was already grading Pokemon cards for a few years. And I already knew the game of grading cards. So I just started, looking through them. And I was like, man, these cards are, for just being sitting up there since from 95, the cards are clean. And 95 metal has really good card stock for the year. Like, amazing. You can still open up product and get tons of 10s to this day. It was good card stock. I just started grading them, bro. And, dude, all the Spider-Mans were in there, all the Wolverines, all the Venoms, like all the big characters, like almost the whole set, like in duplicates was there. The silver flash, tons of silver flashers, gold blasters, metal blasters, alternate arts. It was crazy. And I just started grading them, bro, and getting them in. And on my Pokemon streams, I used to do a lot of streams where I'd sell a lot of product live on Facebook, big streams, And I would just slip in Marvel cards and I'd sell slabs and I'd throw up a slab and it'd sell for 40, 50 bucks and keep going and sell another one. And people went crazy for it. So that was my introduction into Marvel already as an adult. So once I got through that lot, I sold the cards. I made a little bit of money. It was fun. It was exciting. I kind of got really focused on sealed product. That was like 2 or 3 years that I was just buying vintage Pokemon boxes and stashing them away, just grinding, buying boxes, stashing them away for the future. And then Marvel cards, like the modern stuff, I saw when X-Men Metal came out. I opened a box or two as far as like a break. And this was maybe 4, 5, 6 months after the set already had ended on e-Pack. I just got a couple boxes. A guy that I bought a lot of product from that owns a store, he would get Marvel in. He said, hey, bro, you ever tried some of this modern Marvel? Some really nice cards called PMGs. I was like, nah, bro, I don't know anything about that. So I started looking into it, started cracking some modern boxes. I started doing some box breaks for my Marvel customers, people that wanted Marvel. I started introducing it to them. Like, hey, man, I'm getting all this product, doing some breaks, make a little bit of money, have fun, provide some content. And it just started clicking, man. The modern stuff started, looking real cool. The low-numbered stuff, it made me feel like I was ripping like sports product, with the low-numbered parallels, all the different color inserts. It was awesome. And then honestly, what really just pushed me, off the cliff, dive headfirst into it to really invest in it heavy for the future was Spider-Man Metal. Spider-Man Metal was the set that really, because to be honest, it was the first set that I was engaged, excuse me, in the modern Marvel card hobby that had PMGs, that had a Spider-Man PMG. Because I know the X-Men Metal had the PMGs, but like they weren't really, like they didn't feel like PMGs compared to the previous sets, as
What's
far
the
as the
PMG
color.
stand for?
So
Precious metal gems.
precious metal gems, JP. So like they have more colors now, but when like there was red, blue, and green, and so the green is what you saw on Grails last week. That Spider Gwen, right? That's out of 10. So there's 10 of those green PMGs. That's it. Blue is out of 50, and then red is out of 100. Now they have also like purple, which is out of 5, and then like bronze.
Well, that was true. Okay, so that was 2017. So you had the 101 gold, the purple out of 5, the green out of 10, the blue out of 50, and the red out of 100.
Yeah.
So going to that with the PMGs, when I saw that we were going to have a Spider-Man set with Spider-Man PMG in it, like the last set to do that was 2017. You know, we're looking at 5 years since a set with, 2017 was the last set to have a Spider-Man PMG. So we're talking about 5 years of a gap before you saw one. So it was easy to get excited for Spider-Man metal, you know? So this was going to be my first metal set that I was a part of. I was already, you know, getting engaged, getting familiarized with modern Marvel. And this was the set for me to go crazy on. And I went crazy on it. And I love it, man. I love everything about it. I love the amount of people that I was able to meet and build friendships with because of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how I got back into Marvel cards from the beginning to where I am now.
So JP, to give you a little context on these PMGs, so I was on Justin's show 2 Sundays ago, I think it was, and in the show he's like, you know, the most expensive card I ever bought is this red Spider-Man PMG from 2013 for $20,000. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I ended up chatting with him about it, I think the next day, and he was like, he said, so he sent me these numbers. He said the red PMG Spider-Man highest sale, 79,000. The blue is 136,000, and the green is $250,000. So like these are, so if you get the right characters right, these PMGs can be crazy.
Yeah, the PMGs are a big reel into for modern Marvel. It's a sports insert. Sports collectors love the shiny, bold foil colors. They're very nice. It's not the only thing that's important for Marvel cards. There's so much more stuff. Even though I have a lot of PMGs and I love what PMGs bring because of the colors, the collectability, the numbering, there's a lot of cards that I love more than PMGs. Like my comic cut, I would trade any PMG, as many of them, to get an AF-15 cut. Some of the big sketch cards from some of the big artists, I like those. Some of those a lot more than PMGs, but PNG is just a great insert, man. It's a great insert that can bring different people from other collectible worlds and can be like, yo, you know, that's very nice. The images look good. The foil looks good. They're shiny. There is a difficulty for grading. So obviously the higher grades command a little bit of a premium, a little bit more desired. But there's so much out there for Marvel cards, man. And every day I'm finding new stuff that I didn't know existed and just learning. You know what I mean? There's a lot out there.
Yeah. So I have a couple of
that green card had to be graded though, GM10, right? To get 250,000.
I have no idea.
No.
It wasn't even graded.
I don't know the record sale on some of these. I'm not familiar with the exact number. I know PMGs have come down a little bit. You know, the markets have come down a little bit. Obviously, we're in the economy is not the best at the moment. You know, inflation's high. So, you know, some things have come down and settled down a little bit. But some of those like greens, like the older greens, a big Spider-Man, like they sell for big money, man. They sell for pretty crazy numbers.
And JP, with only 10 of them, there may not be a 10, right? So a PSA 9, like for instance, that Spider-Gwen that we saw in Grails, that's the highest graded one. There's 3 of them. There's no 10s, right? 9 is the highest, and there's 3 of them. So Alonso, I wanted to ask, okay, going back to kind of grade, you've gotten into grading cards. So it sounds like you grade a lot of cards.
Yes, sir.
What would be like an average size of a PSA submission that you do, like number wise, like you do 100, you do, I don't even know what people.
Well, it really just depends. What I try to do is I try to keep a consistent conveyor belt of submissions rolling consistently. Like I don't like to have too big of a gap in between submissions. So like let's say I want to send in like 4 submissions with, let's say, 120 to 150 cards per sub. The reason I do it like that is because it keeps them going. Like they're not all going to complete the same day. You know what I mean? So it just keeps them consistent. Like and I don't like to do big subs. Like I'll do a 300-400 card sub if I have to, but I prefer to keep it, 150 to 250 cards per submission. That's where I like to be at.
I've seen you. I've watched 2 episodes with Fausto that you did, where one you guys broke that X-Force set. And then you broke a 1990 Impel set. And I saw you were like, sleeving up the ones you were going to grade. And I was like, man, this is great. A lot of these cards. So yeah, that's why I wanted to ask. And so,
and what's crazy is I've been grading 90 MU for a hot minute. I've opened a lot of boxes and graded a lot of the cards. So it's an amazing set, but yeah, man, sometimes you got to find that avenue to be able to keep the wheels turning, keep the lights on, keep moving forward, being able to move into new things. And you got to grind for that.
Yeah. Just real quick, kind of aside on that 1990s Impel set. So I, like Faust, am a huge Silver Surfer fan. And so I grew up on the 1990, 1991, 1992 Impel sets. Those were like my childhood. And so I set a goal. I was like, I want to get every Silver Surfer card, whether it be his own card or he's in like a versus card or he's a character in a card, of those 3 sets in a PSA 10. And so I have them all for Series 2. I'm missing 1 card for Series 3. And then the 1 card I'm missing from Series 1 is the Silver Surfer versus Thanos card, because apparently it has like the lowest gem rate. And like it's on eBay for like $3,000. I'm like, I can't pay that much for a card. And like, so
I think somebody paid like over $2,000 for one of those in a 10, if I'm not mistaken. I heard something like that.
I think one sold for $3,200.
Okay, I think that's what I heard.
And so like I bought a handful of raw ones off eBay and I tried grading them. Like the highest graded one I got was an 8. I was like, man.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like, and again, this is a warning that I like to give people. Like it's a new thing. I don't like to steer people into, just because I think something's great and it goes well for me. I like to let people know that it's out there, but I don't want what I say to be carried as, I got to do that. Like that's the way, you know what I mean? So for me personally, when it comes to 90 MU, your best bet is finding somebody that has cases of these boxes that have been sitting in the same place for years. Because those cards, the packs can slide real easy side to side. And that's where you get a lot of the ding corners and stuff like that. So I've had a very good luck where I found a good source. I've been buying these for many years, and he had cases of 90 MU, and I was just buying them. Every chance I got, I'd buy 2 or 3 boxes, pick them up, and until I pretty much bought them out. That was the best rate for me to get a lot of 10s to have the shot. It's a gamble. But if you're very close and pay attention, you can pull a decent amount, not a crazy number. You can get lucky and get a great box where you're going to get a higher gem rate, and some boxes you're going to get a lower gem rate. It happens. But like for that type of stuff, like that's the best way, that at least for me, that it's been to get 10s on 90 MU. It's tough to grade, man. So rip responsibly, guys. Rip responsibly.
So in terms of the conveyor belt to PSA, so you probably have submissions coming back every week, every other week, something like that, just constantly rolling.
Every 2 to 3 weeks, I got a sub coming back. About that. I've got about 6 subs in there right now in the chamber. They're all like in stage 4. I think I think there's a sports sub like it's already in stage 5, so that may be a week or 2 and it's done. So yeah, I stay active with that, but I grade mostly Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like I grade Marvel, but the Marvel that I grade is like what I'm keeping. Like I really don't grade as far as the modern Marvel. Like the vintage stuff, I still grade a lot of vintage. I sell, I hold some back, I hoard some. But as far as like the modern stuff, like if I'm buying modern, I'm not grading it to sell it. I'm grading it to hold it for the future because I truly believe that the Marvel card market community, it's going to grow with time. It's going to grow. It's going to strengthen. More people are going to engage in it. They're going to see the beauty in it. And again, man, I feel really good about it. I feel super confident in it long term.
Nice. That's awesome.
Which Marvel cards, though? You're talking the vintage
Marvel
sets from
cards, yes, sir.
The 90s.
No, I'm talking about like mainly modern. People go back to the vintage, but the most stuff you're seeing being ripped these days is modern. People want to try to hit those big cars. There's just so many cool parallels and different stuff. You got the, people are chasing sketch cards. There's people chasing PMGs. There's people chasing autos, plates. There's so much. Like, I think the 90s stuff is a great entry point for somebody that, say, because collecting modern Marvel is not cheap. Boxes are not cheap. So I think the vintage stuff is a great entry point for people.
But yeah, like JP, you can think like that 1990 Impel set. You have the base cards, and then you just basically have those 5 holograms, and that's really kind of it, right? Whereas like the stuff that he's talking about, the modern stuff, they could have the various colors of PMGs. They could have multiple other premium inserts. So there's just a lot of like high-end cards to chase in the modern. So I think that's why he's saying it like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Alonso, when it comes to collecting for yourself, you said Spider-Man was obviously a big one and Batman was a big one. Who else? I think I've seen you with Black Knight.
I'll be honest with you. I don't collect Batman. I don't have, I take that back. I opened when the first DC, remember the NFT set that first came out, the HRO? Do you remember that? Everybody was going crazy. Like every card was like an NFT. It was like a digital card.
I have no idea about that one, no.
Well, DC, so I open a little bit of that, but I pretty much just collect Marvel. My main characters at IPC, Spider-Man's my number one. And then from there, it's Venom, Moon Knight, and Black Panther. Those are my 4 top characters. I collect anything. I collect any character. If I like the card, if I'm chasing the insert, if I'm trying to have a set of that insert, I don't mind collecting because I'm just a Marvel fan. But as far as like investing heavy, long term, those are my 4 main characters.
Nice. So can you tell me about your love of Moon Knight? Where does that come from? Because that's what I always find interesting.
I remember as a kid, man, I would see the Moon Knight comics and I was like, who the heck is Moon Knight? Because back then it was, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Punisher. The X-Men, Magneto, you got, Venom, stuff like that. And when I would see Moon Knight, and I was like, yo, Moon Knight just looks like a badass, man. You know what I mean? And I really didn't know much about him. I had comics. I had old Moon Knight comics, but I barely read them. I would mostly I would read them by looking at the pictures, if that makes sense.
That's how what JP does.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people did the same thing, especially when you're a kid. You're not really looking for the story dialogue. You're trying to, see the story unfold in the pictures. That's how I was. And I remember Moon Knight. Moon Knight was just cool. And then I started seeing some of the modern Moon Knight cards. I saw one of the very first artists that I really fell in love with that did Moon Knight, and Eric Gist, EM Gist. When I seen some of his Moon Knight stuff, when I got back into it, about a little over a year ago, it was insane, man. It was insane, and the show was awesome. And And I just fell in love with Moon Knight. And then when I found out the show was coming, I was like, bro, it's perfect. So I can say I was collecting Moon Knight before the show.
Okay.
I was messing around with Moon Knight. I liked Moon Knight before the show. So
and then we knew you grew up on Spider-Man, therefore there's an obvious connection to Venom. So then what about Black Panther? How'd that come about?
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. Black Panther for me, like I knew who Black Panther was, but to be honest, just seeing the first time Black Panther hit the MCU. What was the first movie he made?
Civil War.
It was Civil War, right? That's where he's chasing them down in like the
highway tunnel.
Yep. Dude, when I seen that scene, I was like, bro, Black Panther is serious. And then when they did the first Black Panther movie, I don't know if you guys remember the very first scene where the human traffickers were trafficking these young girls through the field.
Yep.
And he goes and just takes out a whole squad team in the middle of the jungle. And ever since then, I just fell in love with the character, man. I just thought the character was on another level of cool, man. Like he didn't have celestial powers. He couldn't fly. He did take that herb that made him real strong and very agile. But he could be killed. He could die. He had a vulnerability about him. He wasn't immortal or anything. He didn't have. I don't think he had a healing factor like Wolverine.
I think that herb
technology to fix him.
Yeah, and I think that herb
yeah. So I don't know, dude. I just fell in love with the character, and then when I started seeing the cards, I just went crazy and just started collecting Black Panther and everything Black Panther.
But that's the thing, though. I don't remember much of Black Panther in the 90s. I know he was obviously around prior to that, but same with Iron Man. I knew of him, but I preferred Exo Manowar from Valiant Comics than Iron Man. But the movie pulled me into Iron Man. So the Black Panther movie pulled you into a character that's been around for a while, but the way they portrayed him, the way they made him look, not that he wasn't cool prior, but I mean, they had a lot of.
They gave him his time. They gave him his time to shine. They let people, hey, listen, this is an amazing character that we really haven't done much with. It's time to show you guys what he's all about. And just what the character means as far as like just being a human being, like humanity, the culture, the leadership, the honor, the protecting your people, you know what I'm saying? Like just the whole vibe. I just love it, bro. It was
how he was at the end of Civil War when he was able to, I know it was written that way, but he was able to make peace with Bucky in a sense, and realize that, and basically become that leader that he was going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, just everything about it, and Chadwick was a big reason for bringing life to that character. And that's why I have a big appreciation for Chadwick. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. It's a shame because, like, I could just imagine what he could, like, how many more Black Panther films we could have had, and there's so much storyline there. It's sad.
I was just saying two things. Like, one, I think we can all agree, like, Black Panther was obviously, cool. We just didn't really know about it, but he would not be a tentpole character for Marvel if it wasn't for these movies. So I think we can all agree on that. And then, like, a lot of people,
though, but they didn't sell the rights to Spider-Man and X-Men. They didn't have that. They had Iron Man left, Doctor Strange, Black Panther.
No, absolutely. And I think they also capitalized on the social atmosphere in this country and, a lot of factors in it. And then they hit it out of the park with the casting, right? Like, and he nailed the role and it blew up from there, rightfully so. And I think, people talk about, we've all been kind of disappointed in MCU phase 4 and 5. And I think one of the things that people forget to think about is I'm willing to bet, and I feel like I've read that, like, the idea was post Endgame, Chadwick was going to be one of the premier, actors in the MCU going forward. And his passing, which was unexpected, obviously, really threw plans they had in motion way off.
Yeah,
right?
it's a curveball. They got blindsided by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he could have been the Captain America moving. Not he was going to be, but that role, that
Yeah,
leadership
exactly.
role.
One of the, exactly. One of the 10 pole, like what Captain America and Iron Man were for phase 1 to 3. Bozeman was probably getting set up to be, in that position for the, phases moving forward. And obviously, unfortunately, that's no longer the case.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think like as far as like a cultural aspect, Black Panther caught a lot of different cultures, you know what I mean? And now what you're seeing with Miles,
Yep.
we got a Spider-Man that, I'm Latino, I'm Cuban. So to be able to see that we've got, one of the top characters in Marvel right now that is half Black, half Latino, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And just think about how many little African American kids and little Spanish kids they can look up to, like, yo, like I can relate to that character,
Yeah, I mean,
he's
how
like
many?
me.
Think
You know
about
what
how
I'm
many you
saying?
see. Think about how many you see now are dressing up at Halloween as these
That's
characters.
what I'm saying, bro. And now with and with the, I don't know if you guys saw Across the Spider-Verse. If you haven't, it's next level. But now seeing that, now they're showing love to another Latin character I didn't even know was Latino in Spider-Man 2099.
Oh yeah.
He's half. I think he's half. He's half Latino. He's half. I want to say British or something like that.
I'm not 100% sure, but he's definitely
for
half
that character. But it's just
name,
I just feel like a lot of these characters are starting to get the love they deserve, and you're starting to see a lot of different cultures really starting to, connect with a lot of these characters that back in the days maybe no one really paid attention to. You know what I mean?
I'll be honest with you here, Alonso, real quick. I was unsure what your ethnic background was, and I thought potentially because of your love of Moon Knight, I was like, maybe he's got some Egyptian background in him. And
no, I love that culture though, bro.
Yeah.
I love the Egypt, but no, I'm not Egyptian. I'm 100% Cuban, man.
Yeah. So, we talked about doing this before, but you showed off your AF-15 comic cut card. Do you mind showing off anything, some of your other cool
so
stuff?
What I did was I grabbed a few of my favorites for each of the character that I PC. So I wanted to show a couple things for you guys. Let me turn this light over here real quick, and I'll just flip my camera around. Give me 1 second. Setting camera. All right. And those are all cards. Like all that is Spider-Man metal. That whole middle row, all those boxes, that's all Spider-Man metal. Wow. Just PMDs, numbered cards, grandiose inserts. So yeah, wow. I got a lot of that stuff to grade, but little by little, man. All right, so y'all seen the AF-15 cut?
Yeah, amazing.
This card means the most to me out of every card I own. Just for the fact that, being, lucky enough to pull this, how it was pulled, the experience, being caught off guard, being live with so many of the homies in the community watching it live. Built a ton of relationships and friendships. And a lot of doors opened up after I pulled this card. My, what's the word I'm looking for? My relationship with CGC, big shout out to Fausto. The main reason why that happened. We were able to do a nice collab with CGC to promote this. But definitely, this is the most special card as far as meaning to me in the hobby. This is something that my kids will sell whenever I'm gone, dude. It's a piece of history.
Question. So I know you said you're more of a card guy than a comic guy, but has that card inspired you to want an AF-15 at all?
To be honest with you, no, man. No, the thing with me is that I would not like to own, like if I own something, I like to own stuff that are high grade.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to dump millions of dollars into a comic to get it in a high grade. It's just that time passed. Like that train passed many years ago as far as being able to obtain a high value AF-15 comic. Would I if an opportunity ever presented itself, would I take a shot at one? I'm not saying I never would, but I'm happy with the AF-15 Cup, man. I've got a piece of the comic and I've got a piece of cardboard, a piece of trading card, excuse me, in one. So for me, that's all I need, man.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I would go for one low grade just to have a copy. But if I had the card you have, there would be probably, no reason to, you can get a facsimile and hang it up somewhere.
You know what is funny about if you watch, pay attention to AF-15 sales, like, the market has come down somewhat, but what has held really steady is that 0.5 to 1.0 grade AF-15.
Mm-hmm.
Those still go for a lot of money because so many people just want in on being an owner of that book. Like, I mean, that's just the popularity of Spider-Man. So, I mean, to have a piece of it is incredible.
Yeah, man, and be able to pull it the way I was, it was just like with 100%. All the homies. It was a ridiculous experience, bro. I'll be honest with you. That night, I didn't even sleep. I think I went to sleep at like 6, 7 a.m., dude. I stayed up the whole night. I stayed on the phone with the homies for hours after. It was like, bro, you when you get a product and you open it and you're chasing, you're praying for the opportunity to get blessed. And then it actually happens to you, dude. It's definitely super humbling and definitely blessed and super grateful. And I wouldn't sell that for anything in the world, dude. It means more to me than $1 sign,
That's awesome.
So,
yeah.
Oh, right. So I'm going to show you some more Spider-Mans. So I'm going to show you Spidey first. And then, like I said, I grabbed 2 to 3 cards of each of the characters that I collect, cards that I really love. All right. So here's one this one's from Spider-Man Metal.
I think those platinum portraits are some of the best cards out there. I love those cards.
I agree, my friend. I agree. Can you guys see that good? Do I need to move the light?
I can see it pretty good.
Yeah, especially when you bring it up close, we can see it pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
So I actually purchased this off a homie in the group on ePack when the set dropped. And I was really lucky. I sent it in. I got a 10.
Nice.
So,
nice.
All right, so we got that. Then another very special card. Big shout out to Matt Datillo. So this is a 2018 Marvel Masterpieces, Simone Bianchi, Spider-Man What If. And these are out of 50.
Nice. Is that one signed?
No, sir.
No, that's awesome. That's a sick one. Yeah, there's the Silver Surfer has a What If card that's out of 50 that I really want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this card, I got it for a tremendous deal. The homie really gave me a ridiculous price, and this is one of the stronger valuable cards in this set for 2018. So very happy to have this. I got to get it slabbed up. I'm definitely going to more than likely. I grade mostly with PSA, and I do grade with CGC as well. But this is a card that needs to get graded by CGC just because the comic book feel to it.
Yeah, I agree.
The What If, it deserves to be in a CGC slab. It just makes sense. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah, 100%.
So it's a very special card. Love this card to death. Big fan of Simone Bianchi's art. He's a good friend. I've got some original art from him. Super amazing person, amazing artist, one of the top artists in the game by far. Very few can reach that level, in my opinion, right now for Marvel cards and comic art as well. It's just he's a beast.
On your Instagram recently, you posted like some original art by him of Spider-Man that I thought was amazing.
Yes. No, that was beautiful. That was an amazing experience. All right, so the last Spider-Man card I'm going to show, I'm not going to just bore you guys with Spider-Man the whole time. So I picked this up off my boy Fausto, Sketch Card Hive. Big shout out, my brother. I love that guy. That guy, he's like a brother from another mother. Like, super awesome dude. You guys had him on your channel, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
correct?
Yeah, I actually talk to Fausto like all the time because of our love of Silver Surfer.
Dude, a gem of a collector, gem of a friend, gem of a human being, just good dude, amazing person. So he had this tucked away, and I didn't know he had this. So we ended a stream, I'd say probably about a month ago, and he was just showing me some stuff I had, and he showed me this, and I was like, bro, this isn't a Silver Surfer. And I had to have, so this is one of the first APs done by Simone Bianchi for the 2018 Marvel Masterpieces. There's not many of these made, so I just had to pick this up off of him.
Would that have been in a pack?
No. So this is an artist proof. So an artist, when they do sketch cards, they'll get a group of cards that they get submitted into packs, and you can pack pull it, and then they get a small amount of APs that they can make, for people and sell them on the side. And that's like a little premium for them for doing the sketch cards. They get the AP. So that's where they make a good chunk of their money as far as sketch card artists on the sketch card with the APs. Now, Simone, he's a master artist. He did the entire 2018 Marvel Masterpiece set, but he did have some inserted sketches that were part of the set. And then he got some APs, and I'm blessed to have one of the original APs that he did. And this is another, I'm not a big crazy sketch card collector, but sketch cards like this, I love them. I collect them heavy. So, all right, now my other guy, we'll go to Black Panther real quick. So this is one of my favorite cards in Spider-Man Metal, and not the card that it's a green PMG, but the artwork. It's the Black Panther Low series in Spider-Man Metal, to me, is next level and is probably, in my opinion, the best looking Black Panther card. And that's, again, that's my opinion,
Yeah.
But that just looks next level. So this is a green PMG. This is out of 10. And it is a PSA 9. And this is the highest graded copy of this card at PSA. And it may stay that way, because to get a 9 and a PMG on Spider-Man Metal is extremely difficult.
What year is that card?
Sir?
What year is that card?
This is 2022. So Spider-Man Metal.
So JP, one thing that's cool, he said that's low series. So I've learned this now recently. So low series, they have 0 to 100, and then high series is 101 to 200.
Correct.
And the high series is they use the first ever comic image of the character on the card.
On most of the characters, some of them they use just older images, but yeah. So this is a modern. And you know what's crazy? I have a few comics. I have maybe 10 to 12 comics in my collection, and I went and bought this comic when I saw this card, when I started pulling it. I haven't graded it yet. It needs to be graded. I need to send it in. But that's the comic. That's
cool.
Yeah, that sleeve looks kind of murky. But that's the comic.
Oh, very cool.
For that image.
So cover, then. It must be a
it is a variant cover. Yes, sir. It is a variant cover. I've
never seen that before. Pretty sweet.
So being able to match one of your favorite cards with the comic art, I think it's fun. It's cool. It's another way to bring.
I like doing the matching with the comics and the cards.
Yeah. So I got some. I'm not, like I said, I don't have any big crazy comics. I think the most valuable comic I have is a 9/8 Moon Knight #1. That's probably the biggest valued comic book I have, but a lot of the other stuff is just stuff that I like to look at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so another card for Black Panther. This is one of my favorite sketches that I own. So this is a Freddy sketch of Black Panther. And that is a next level sketch, just like the Bianchi. Like, not many sketch card artists are doing this kind of work on a sketch card. It looks real.
I was literally going to say, if you didn't say sketch, I would have assumed that was real.
That is a sketch. That is painted on, man.
That's incredible.
So Freddy, and it's a 101 sketch. This was the premier Black Panther sketch for this season of Unbound. Have you guys known about the Unbound, the weekly release for Unbound?
I've literally learned a little bit about it recently. I just realized that they have weekly releases.
Yeah, so they do a 52-week. Each week they release 1,999 packs on ePack, and each week is a different character. So the week that Black Panther was released, this sketch card was tossed into the 1,999 packs, and if you got lucky, you would pull it. I ended up, Justin linked me up with the guy that pulled it. I wasn't expecting to buy it, so Justin reaches out to me. Big shout out to Spidey Hits. Love that. That's another guy that, just like Fausto, those two are my aces in the hobby, man. They've taught me a lot. They've been great, along the way. Just been good friends. And he linked me up with the guy that pulled it, man, and gave me a good word. The guy had seen my content. He showed love. He's like, man, Alonso, bro, he collects back. I don't want anybody else to own this but him. And I paid a pretty penny for it. It's not cheap, but for what it is, I believe I got a very good, fair price on the sketch card.
Alonso, what is the price of like just the regular, you're going to try and be one of the 1,099 people that buys one of the cards that's released? Like, what is that?
$15 a pack.
$15.
And it's one card, one random card. Got
it. Do you know if Silver Surfer's going to have a card in that set?
I don't know, dude.
I'll ask.
We don't know what it was getting announced. So it drops every Monday. And before it was getting announced Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern, they'd let you know who the character would be for Monday. But they started doing it now an hour before they go up for sale at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Time. They go up on ePack, $15 a pack. And now they're announcing the character for that week an hour before the drop to avoid like the bots and all the people scalp, because it gets crazy, bro. It gets crazy.
Yeah.
So it's just $15 a pack, man.
Nice. It's like when they drop Jordan.
Yeah. Sir?
I said it's like when they drop new Jordan shoes.
Oh yeah, they disappear before they even get a chance to click a button. They're gone.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to show you guys a couple Moon Knights, and I'll show you a couple Venoms. And all right, so this is a blue PMG from 2017. I just love the blue. It really pops. Awesome. I got this raw off a dude in the group. I just fell in love with it. It was a good price. PSA 7. So that's like, I'm cool with a 7 or an 8. 8's like a good standard. 8's like, I'd say like slightly like solid to a little bit above average. A PSA 9, now you're another step up in value just because of how difficult PMGs are to grade in general. So, but when you only got a PMG, there's only 50 of them. Like, I'm cool with a 7. It displays amazing,
Yeah, no, it looks great.
Yeah,
I thought it was good. I thought it was 8. I thought it was 8 worthy. I thought it was gonna get an 8, but they gave it the 7. So it's a PC card. I don't care. It looks good.
Yeah, it's great.
And then last for the Moon Knight. Yeah. So that's a green PMG Moon Knight. This is the first appearance. I guess you guys are comic book guys. Y'all know that image. Werewolf by Night, right?
Yeah, 32.
That's a high number or something.
The high series.
Yeah, so this is the high series. And you can tell, let me see. Okay, so an easy way to tell. So the low series, you see the metal bar across the bottom, the set stamp on the card, how it's like thick and it has that design.
Yep.
The high, you see the difference in it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a thin bar. So that's an easier way. And then you can just check the number. This is 155 out of 200 in the set. So this is a green PMG out of 10. This is number 3 out of 10. I pulled this on ePack. I pulled this at like 9-10 a.m. on an Instagram, just live stream I did on Instagram. If you scroll down, you can probably find me and a couple buddies of mine. We were cracking ePack like maniacs. I'd be like, yo, I'm going live on IG, bro. You got a case of boxes to rip? Yeah, bro, I got a case. All right, let's go crack some boxes. So I pulled this on ePack, and this is an 8.5. This is the highest graded copy for the green PMG Moon Knight at PSA. So I've gotten real lucky that I've got a lot of the Pop One highest graded copies of a lot of the cards that I collect, and I picked up, on my course, on my journey to say for Spider-Man Metal. And that's just an epic card, dude. That's ridiculous. Just looks insane.
I love that green background. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. All right, so now for Venom. I'm a big Venom guy. I've been a Venom guy. Like any kid grew up in the 90s collecting cards, comics, whatever, you knew who Venom was. Venom was a big deal. He still is, I'd say, top 4 Marvel character, in my opinion. That's debatable. So this, let me see if I can find something. Never mind. I'll try to do my best. So this is a platinum portrait I pulled on EPAC, Gem 10 of Venom.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I love those platinum portraits.
Can you guys see it good? I'm trying to get you guys good.
Yeah,
we can.
So that I love these cards, man. Like the platinum portraits, like
those
first time me knowing about them was through this set, and I'm in love with them, dude. They just look insane. They look different.
Yeah, you don't see them like that. Like that's just a cool looking.
I think
boxiness of it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best inserts I've seen for sure.
It looks
and
like
what's crazy about it is the art is all depicted on just little holes in the card, like the little holes.
Looks like old DOS, like the way you used to do computer graphics in the day.
Yeah,
man. I didn't realize you could see through it.
Oh yeah, the little holes, and the little holes, the way they're positioned is what makes the image. Yeah, dude. That's what's so sick about it.
That's nuts. I thought that was just like the hologram part of it was that way. I didn't realize it was see-through. Huh.
Yeah, no, they're see-through. Okay, now one of my favorite Venom cards, and I don't know if you've seen it. You've probably seen it on my Instagram. I just made a post recently about them. So the Todd McFarlane signing rolled through for CGC. Oh, yeah. Get your stuff graded with Todd. Get your stuff signed and graded with CGC by Todd. And I thought it was a great experience. Luckily for us as collectors, we had the first appearance of Venom, Todd McFarlane art, as the high series for Spider-Man Metal. Huge card. In my opinion, one of the best Venom cards out. It's just the nostalgia, the first appearance, the look, the design just looked amazing. And I've been getting like high-end Pokemon cards signed, like on card with different color inks and stuff like that for years by some of the top artists in Pokemon, Mitsuhito Arita, Masakazu Fukuda, Kuki Saito. There's just a lot of that. That's something that I used to do for a few years. Heavy is getting stuff signed at the conventions. So with the Marvel, this was a great opportunity because no other company, I don't think, if there is, let me know. But I believe CGC was the first to do a major artist in-house signing for Marvel cards, like direct, and then to get a special encapsulation for us. I believe they're the first to do that.
Yeah, no, Fausto, that's exactly what he told us, that was the first one. And then now they're doing Rob Liefeld is coming up. And then I asked him recently because they announced an Art Adams signature event, and I asked Fausto if they're going to do cards for that, and he's like he's hoping for it. He doesn't know for sure yet. Yeah,
that's sick. So when that came around, I was like, you know what, man, I want to get stuff signed that's cool that I'm going to love to look at in my collection. So I sent in a couple of the blue parallel, the EPAC Achievement Blues to get signed. Those came out amazing. I sent one of the Grandiose parallel to get signed. That came out awesome. And I sent in 2 red PMGs. I pulled 4 red PMG high series Venoms out of my journey on EPAC and physical product. And I grabbed 2 of them for the signing. So I sent 2 red PMGs in for the signing. One of them got, what the other one get? Did I get an 8? So the one got an 8, and then this one got a 9.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, That is awesome.
So
Great placement too for the
there's some
signature.
collectors that don't like the idea of getting a autograph on a card of this type of like value, like a PMG or a numbered card that's serialized with a auto. It's some people frown upon that, you know. Me personally, everybody has their opinions and their way of thinking and their way of doing things, and I respect that. But to me, that is badass. That's just cool.
Well, I mean, not
You
to
know what
mention
I'm saying?
it's the first image of Venom, so it's just like perfect.
It's perfect, dude. That looks insane. Like, if you were to tell me right now, what would you rather have? A red PMG without the signature, just encapsulated of this card, or this? Like, what's cooler? Me personally, this is cooler for me.
Heck yeah.
So I like to do things how I like to do them. They're my cards. I collect them the way I want to collect them, and I got a lot of love. I got a couple jabs, a little bit of hate about it, but the majority of the response was positive. A lot of people were digging it. You know, some people that, honestly, a couple dudes came up to me, you know, privately through the DMs. They're like, bro, I'm going to be honest with you, Lewis. I'm not a fan of getting numbered cards signed, but after seeing what you did with the red PMG Venom, you changed my perspective on it. I dig it. I would love to own one now.
There's someone I saw that posted they got multiple colors signed, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, the homie Jin.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jin from Lootbox. Yeah, the homie Jin. He got a bunch of them done. I think he got almost the whole color palette except for the green and the 101. Yeah, he went crazy with it, and that's awesome, man. I'm super happy. They came out insane.
That's a PC card?
Oh yeah. All the cards I got signed. Okay, well, let me flip the camera around. Give me a second. So I got 5 cards done. I got 2 blues, the Grandiose, and 2 reds. That PSA 9, that's a PC card. That's not for sale. The Grandiose, I'm keeping. One of the blues, I'm keeping long term. Those 3 will never be for sale. My kids will sell them. The other 2, they're not for sale right now. They're not going to be for sale tomorrow, next year. Down the road, the extra red PMG and the extra blue, those will be collector pieces that I can either sell to buy into something new that I want, or trade pieces to trade for something else that I want, and I still have my stuff. You know what I mean? For myself.
Well,
so
we talk about that. The stuff that you know, when you pull something, or you know, then you can use that to get something you do want. If you didn't pull exactly what you wanted, you can use that as not trade bait, but margin to find the next one.
So part of collecting, man, is selling. Buying something where nobody believes in it. You believe in it. You hold on to it. Time goes by. It becomes valuable. You sell it. You make a profit margin. You put that into something else. That's just part of collecting. Selling and dealing and making deals and making sales is part of collecting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people just got to be real. What are you about? Like me, I love to collect, but I love to invest as well. And if I collect heavy, I'm investing heavy as well. I look at it both sides. I don't invest and collect stuff that I don't like. I don't go and buy things that just because they're valuable and expensive. If I don't like it, I'm not going to buy it. I don't care how much it's worth, you know? But yeah, that's my view on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like how what the saying is, right? It's like, whether you use it to trade up or whatever, it's like, never buy something that you don't want to keep, that if you got stuck with it, you'd be unhappy.
Correct. I agree.
Depends on the price point.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, for sure. It depends on but like in general.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Do you invest, not to get too down the rabbit hole, but is the card and this the investing you have for down the road retirement, or is this just fun and there's some investment aspect to it, and you do, you know, stocks and bonds, some, you know, that type of investing, or is this simply, this is your not retirement, but you know what I mean, something that's gonna.
Yeah, I don't invest in stocks. I'm not I'm not a guru in the stock market. You know, I really don't invest in real estate either. Like I have my property, my acreage, my home, and everything. I like to invest in physical assets. Like for me, the trading card space, you know, collectibles in general. I look at this for long term. You know, long term could be 10 years, 20 years, 5 years. Depends on when the opportunity presents itself to sell and move on to something else. I put that into something else. So it's kind of hard to say because I'm only 36. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still a young dude. Well, I want to feel like I am a young
You're
dude.
younger than both of us. You're younger than both
Okay,
of us.
so you know what I mean.
I still think I'm
So you know,
21.
I've got 3 kids. So what I do, you know, is for them. What I collect and invest for the future is for them. And I just make sure I get the right stuff, man. The stuff, you know, obviously everything's not always a win. You know, you do take losses, and anything that you do, you're always going to take a nut. You're going to trip. You're going to fall. You got to get back up. You know. But yeah, as far as for me, Pokemon long term is Pokemon over the last almost decade for me has been one of the best moves I've ever done in my life as far as anything, you know. And now with the Marvel cards, I believe all right, what I feel Marvel cards are now is the same way I sort of felt when nobody really paid attention to Pokemon.
Oh, that's a
and I got into it. It was small. It was quiet, you know. So I see a lot of growth potential with Marvel, man, with the movies, the amount of people like let's be honest, a lot of people, some people have negative things to say about Spider-Man Metal. It was expensive, yada, yada. You know, when you're opening product, it's all a gamble. You know, you're trying to hope to hit that Grail card or that PMG or, you know, it's a little, there's a little bit of a big gambling aspect to ripping modern product, just buying boxes and cases and opening them in hopes for a great card. But, you know, people can't deny that Spider-Man Metal put Marvel cards on the map for a broader audience than it had prior to it. I truly believe that. Everybody was ripping it. Sports card guys are ripping it like crazy. It was all over Whatnot. It's all over YouTube, guys ripping boxes, the activity, the content that was created for that set, the hype. E-Pack, people going crazy on E-Pack. You know, it was huge, dude. It was huge.
Yeah.
So I believe the Marvel card community has a tremendous ceiling of growth ahead of it. I truly believe it.
That'd be interesting because I mean the way I see when you guys do when you rip packs, things like that, like it seems like it's already taken off, but it's such a small community inside a larger community that's where that growth is going to come from, right? Because we've talked with with you with Spidey hits with with Fausto, so like to us it seems like a big deal, but it hasn't got out yet, right? I guess so. Therefore, there's that chance.
It's starting. Yeah, it's starting to spread its roots out, man, for sure. A lot more people know about PMGs now. People know about the AF-15 cuts. People know about the big inserts, the big masterpiece sets. Like people know about that, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's known now. Hey, listen, bro. Marvel cards, yeah, bro. Marvel cards got big cards. Hey, man, for real, yeah. Like people. Maybe not everybody, but a lot more people know about Marvel cards now because of Spider-Man Metal than they did. And I'm excited for the Masterpiece set whenever they decide to announce the artist, and hopefully they release that this year. If they chose the right artist and they make it big and make it a big deal, like that could be another set that's going to really bring in a big crowd of new people into the hobby. Because for a lot of people, it's going to be their first masterpiece, like modern masterpiece release. So the last one was in 2020.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, the Marvel card hobby has grown tremendously in the last 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, there's Justin talks about, he's got a video where he goes to the Dallas card show and he talks about it. And he's like, he came the year before. So I think it was from this past year. So he's like, the year before, there was one table there that was selling Marvel cards. And then the next year, it was like tons of tables selling Marvel cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's exciting, man. Cards are great. It's fun. The community's great. There's a lot of great people in the hobby, man. A lot of good people that are willing to help out and teach somebody and show love and just positivity. You got your rats, you got your trolls, and that's part of all. They're in all cultures, all hobbies, right? You know, there's tons of them in the Pokemon community. There's a bunch of them in the sports. You're always going to have the negative people, but at least my experience over the last year, it's been amazing, man. Everybody's shown love, tremendous love, great support, and nothing but good things, man. So I'm excited, bro. It's fun. It's good. It's a good place to be.
Yeah. So it's all about having fun.
Yeah.
Having fun.
At the end of the day, man, that's all it is, bro. The world's negative enough as it is.
100%.
Why don't got to bring that into, something we like. For a lot of us, this is like a little safe zone, man, from the real world. We dig into our collectibles, our comics, our cards. Some people get that same satisfaction with the video games. It's, why do you want to bring in negative vibes into something that's supposed to be like a positive spot where we can unwind and forget about all the drama and chaos around us on a daily basis,
We've talked about, like, we've got, just like you got 3 kids. I got 3 kids. JP's got 4 kids. Like, this is our escape to, enjoy, and just, it's our palace of peace for like Superman, the Ice Fortress.
Yep.
And now it's cool to collect cards, bro, and comics. It's like cool now. It's like respected. Like, remember, bro, when I started collecting Pokemon, my people used to laugh at me, like, you collected Pokemon? Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And now it's like, you tell me, you collect, bro, do you see that one box that did 3 million and this card that did 5 million and all this crazy stuff? It's like, now it's cool, man. Now it's cool. And that's awesome, bro. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a 180 there. That's good.
Yeah,
a big change. I still get made fun of by my kids and my wife, but that's for a different time.
Yeah. When they cash out when you're old, they ain't gonna be laughing. They'll be like, "Damn, Dad, you really knew what you were doing, didn't you?"
Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome, Alonso. Thanks for coming on. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I appreciate the opportunity, bro. Like I said, I like to be around good people, man. I've watched a few of you guys' streams. I've heard nothing but great things about you guys from Fausto and Justin, a couple of the other homies, man. And it's my pleasure. I'm honored to be here with y'all, man. So thank you for the opportunity, guys.
Right on. Thank you so
great
much.
To have you on. All right. Well, we appreciate it. We hope everyone likes, subscribes, comments, and tells us what you think and asks some questions, because I learned a lot today. It seems like every one of these shows I'm learning something new. So I appreciate Alonso, what I've learned. And
and check out, I remember in the description, I will put the link for his AF-15 cut break. And it's
that was fun, man.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Awesome.
Hey, guys, remember, man, rip responsibly, guys. Rip responsibly, because it can get crazy. It can get fun and wild. And then when you look back, you gotta lick your wounds. You're like, damn. So make sure you guys, rip responsibly and just be smart with what you do, man.
Right on. All right.
Great advice. All right. We'll see everyone on the next show. Peace out, everybody. Take care.
Later.
Right,